Hello. First things first, please excuse my fan in the background. I have it on because if I don't, my balls are too sweaty for me to practice my fushigi skills. So if you hear it huffing and puffing like there's an old chain smoker having a tuberculosis attack in the background, now you know. Now, I like to play Roblox from time to time. And there's this one game I really enjoy called Archived. But there are some glaring issues which I have to say make me want to run into an actual library butt booty naked with a bomb strapped into my rectum and blow it up. Anyway, this video will be a criticism of the game where I try to talk about it in a neutral standpoint and note some good aspects and some of its most glaring issues. If any dev should see this and don't like anything I say, they can either suck it up and take the criticism, or contact me privately so we can discuss this over a hot pot of beef stew. So, without further yapping, enjoy. Now, let's start with the basics. Archived is a Roblox game which doesn't have pedos, which is based around the games of a game company, which made a total of 3 games, where each game is based off the game which came before the game. That company is called Project Moon, and I will not be going into their game's lore and their mechanics because that would take ages. Now, let's start with the negatives of the game that I found with my group of autistic fuck.
What did you say? Nothing. Nothing? What did you say?
First things first, this game has some horrible performance issues. The horrible performance in this game. Holy sh**. And I mean, holy sh**. This game has lags that want me to test just how stretchy my optical nerves are. And the moment you start to fight, the game decides to just put on an iron glove and see how deep it can knuckle your frame rates. Second thing I also noticed is that the devs really like adding stuff people do not ask for. For example, cars. And a giant chicken that jumps out of that one specific car. Well, yes, it does make sense that there are cars now, since it's a big city. It would be very cool if they actually acted like cars and not magnets being pulled along a freaking line. Next up, the NPCs bugging. The NPC AI and the NPCs in general are frail. Let me explain. When you do a task normally, NPCs spawn in groups. You attack one, and the others have sighted you. Stay away so you can fight. The purpose of that is that you can have a fair fight without getting ganked, and when you defeat the opponent that you're currently fighting, the next one steps in, which goes along and along until all are dead. Which sounds good on paper, but the mechanic just straight up doesn't work 85% of the time. Either the NPCs all gank you nonetheless and do some SAO switch, or when you defeat your main target, the others suddenly think you have the hentai virus and want to stay away from you 10 feet. Worst of all, this bug has been in the game for ages now, since I have played since the playtest, and I think a few days after the bug has arose already. You cannot tell me that this is not a bug. This is not intended. And now, for the last main criticism I have. The maps are stupid. And not in the way that they are bad or ugly, but in the way that NPCs do not sync well with them. Example, you can enter a dungeon called the Railway, which has a wave mode, which every few waves comes a boss, and then after the waves you can get a reward, etc, etc. But some NPCs just straight up jump into the ceiling and never come out, or stay out of bounds with no way for you to defeat them. And normally, I could forgive that, and I think many other would do too. But there's a slight drop of lemon juice in the paper cut. There's permadeath in this game. And in one dungeon called the Library, you see what I did in the beginning? You can't leave unless you beat it. And I've had experience with NPCs just vanishing when I did. And the moment I did leave, I was in hell looking at heaven. With all of that aside, now we come to the pros of the game. There are quite a few. First things first. Despite what I have complained about, the combat in this game feels great. The general idea of needing to initiate to actually be allowed to use abilities is well put in, as well as the movement feels pretty nice. And despite being a parry-based game, your parry isn't your trump card. It has a cooldown if you miss it, causing you to rely on movement, dodges, and blocking with stamina management to be required as well. Second pro I have noticed not many permadeath games use is allowing you to change your build on your slot. You can fully switch your builds, name, character design, pages, and weapons if you want without needing to wipe the slot and grind up to a new one, which many games surprisingly lack despite their leveling taking about 10 times longer than archives. Looking at you, Deepwoken. That brings me to my next pro. The leveling now is very fast and easy. While I somewhat like the older versions where you actually needed to get experienced and learn the game, the newer one is much more young player friendly and comfortable. Now, for the biggest pro I can give to a game on Roblox is that the dev team actually listens to their community. I know, it's a shocker, right? And get annoyed and admits their own mistakes and apologizes for them. A Roblox dev team, by the way. They apologize and acknowledge mistakes. The last pro I can give is actually the fact that they take their time with their updates. Well, yes, waiting 5+ months for an update is a lot. The update had little bugs or glitches in them, and when they had any of them were fixed. And it was the biggest update yet, might we add. Considering that, this is my conclusion. Archived is an interesting experience. If you are looking for a PvP based game with decent movement and unlimited build variety, because pretty much everything works in that game, you should totally try it out. Its PvE leaves much to be desired, but if you look past that, you'll find the game to be very fun. So that was my honest criticism of the game. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment on what you'd like to see next, and with that, have a good rest of your day/night. Bye bye. It's so hard! I hate summer!